'Cause what I'm trying to do is enthuse you, so that you and I might together strive to change more people's point of view for those who can't eat.
Hey guys, Bobby Hughes here with Heritage Pride Custom Firearms, and today I've got my Winchester Model 190. This is my first gun that I ever owned other than a BB gun or a pellet gun. I got this rifle from my dad when I was 13 years old. It was a hand-me-down, and he had gotten it from his dad when he was 13 years old. His dad bought it for him. So this was my first rifle, and today we're just going to do a quick disassembly and cleaning on it. Trying to get all the guns cleaned up. It's starting to get really cold here, so trying to get all the guns cleaned up before it gets too cold. I'll do all my cleaning out in the garage to keep the smell out of the house. So I want to try to get them all cleaned up before it gets too cold. But anyway, so we're just going to disassemble it and get it cleaned, and I'll show you guys how. So let's get started. Alright, so obviously the first thing you want to do is to check and make sure it's clear. And I've just got it viced up in or clamped up in my vise here. We'll go ahead and remove the magazine tube. Set that aside. And now to do a complete disassembly, the big thing about the 190s, the front ends, the fore-end grip likes to get a little loose on you. So I like to tighten that up when I clean it. So first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and pop the pin out of this front end hanger here. Just use a pin or a punch and get it lined up there. Just give it a little tap and it'll pop right out. Alright, now we can go ahead and remove our magazine tube. Just pull that right out. Now the fore-end grip will just pull forward and lift off. And you'll see how it's held on there by a plastic, little plastic spacer. It's got a dovetail on it, it slides in here. And then the grip just sits right down. Excuse me, in that hole right there. And that's pretty much what holds the grip in. Not much. Alright, so the next thing is just flip the gun over. I've got it flipped over now. I'm going to go ahead and remove the front sight. It's just a dovetail that drifts left to right. I'm using a brass punch so I don't mar anything up. I'm just going to tap it out. And then your little heat shield thing will come off of there too. Now, another thing with the Model 90s that you'll run into is you'll actually run into, sometimes the barrel will get loose. See how the barrel's loose here? And that's because this little ring here is what holds the barrel in. And you see how loose that one was? And now the barrel will just pull right out. Just like that. So, it's okay for you to go ahead and do that. It really requires a special wrench, but I don't have one of the special wrenches. But what you can do is just use a screwdriver to tighten that up, and you can see where somebody's done it before and just made a boogered mess out of it. I don't know if that was my dad or somebody else that worked on it, but with that you can go ahead and clean the barrel that way. It makes it easier to clean the barrel, clean the breech there and all that stuff. So go ahead and pop that off too. Alright, now we'll go back over to the bench. From here it's pretty much just like a Marlin 795 or a Model 60 or anything like that. It's pretty straightforward, easy to do. Just use my little wood blocks here, give me a little elevation so I can knock this pin out. It's just the one pin there. I'm just going to pop it out. It doesn't take much, just tap it. Pop right out the bottom. Set that aside. It's actually plastic. And then we'll just pull the trigger guard out, and it'll just pull straight out. I'll say it will. It should just pull straight out. There we go. Well, that wasn't supposed to happen. I think all that happened was I got my my breech here, or my bolt carrier, firing pin carrier, had a little bit of tension on it where I was playing with it to try to pull that out, and the spring and the rod popped out there. So that's all right, no big deal. Just watch for stuff like that, because it'll put your eye out. So if it didn't pop out, what you would do is just basically just like your Model 60, just pull back a little bit of pressure, put your finger down here, lift up on the bolt, and then work your charging handle out here. Just pulls right out, and then slowly pull it out, and then your spring and rod would come out with it. Alright, so there's your bolt, firing pin carrier, and guide rod and spring, and that's disassembled. That's a complete disassembly with the barrel off and everything. So go ahead and clean it up, and then we'll get it put back together. Alright guys, we've got this thing all cleaned up. Now we're getting ready to reassemble it. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and install the barrel back in it. Now, if you've seen any of my other disassembly videos, you know that I don't like to use oil. I like to use grease. I've used some Shooter's Choice high-tech. It's a red all-weather, all-temperature grease, and it's neat in that little tube. And then I also like this stuff here. It's made by Birchwood Casey, and I love to use Birchwood Casey products. It's just called Universal Gun Grease. It comes in a tub, and it's good stuff. I have no complaints about it at all, and I love to use it. But what I'm going to do, since we're putting this barrel back in, I'm going to put a little bit of grease right around the outside of the mouth of the barrel here, and that'll just help it slide in good, and it'll keep any carbon from building up in there. Kind of like when you put grease on your choke tubes. If you ever want to pull it out again, it gets all that carbon built up in there. It's like pulling teeth trying to get it out of there. So then we're just going to reinstall it. You want to make sure that you get it lined up, and then just work it up in there. And then sometimes you got to give it a little tap. Make sure it's seated all the way, and then we want to make sure that we've got a good lineup on it. And then what we'll do is, because of the problem with that thing coming loose like they like to do, I always put a little bit of blue Loctite on it. Way too much. Had a stopped up there in the bottom. Pull back a little bit. Then we'll just line it up here. We'll run it as far up in there as we can get it with our hands. Make sure we get any Loctites on here off. And then what I'm going to use is a brass tip punch. That way I don't booger it up like the last person did. And that'll do it. That'll get the barrel back in it now. So if the barrel is loose and you pull it out, don't think that you can't just put it back in, that you got to take it to a gunsmith or something. As long as you've got it lined up and you get that thing seated properly and it's nice and tight, you'll be fine. So our next step now is just go ahead and start the regular reassembly. Alright, it's pretty simple, just like it was pulling it apart. What we want to do is go ahead and put some grease inside here, and you'll look for, especially in older guns, you'll see where the metal to metal contact is. So we'll just dab a little bit of grease wherever there's metal to metal contact. And another thing that I like to do on these little 22s, just makes them function a lot smoother. It helps the ammo feed better, helps it stay cleaner, keeps it a little bit more waterproof, keeps it from rusting up. Is I like to polish the firing pin carrier, the bolt, and I just use, you guys have seen in other videos, I like to use the JB Bore Bright, and I'll just put it on there and use my Dremel with my buffing wheel and buff it up real good, and that'll give you a nice smooth finish on it. So this is the trickiest part of the whole reassembly right here. Just like on most of these, you got to put this spring in here. You got to get it to line up. Well, unlike most of them, you ain't got much to work with here. So you got to try to, you know, force as much of that spring in that pin as you can. It's really simply, there's no easy way to do it, and it's a pain in the butt. Every time you do it, there's no getting away from it. It's just a pain. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to tilt it up just a little bit here, make it a little bit easier for me to get it in there. Sorry I can't show you guys. You guys already won't see it. It's just a pain. Alright. Alright, so the spring is back in now, the spring and guide rod, and I'm going to tell you the easiest way to do it. It just took me, and I cut it out of the video just because it takes so long. It takes you about 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes. It might take you a little bit longer your first time. But the easiest way to do it is you're going to start the back of the spring in the back of the frame there. And there's a hole there for it, and then you put your guide rod in, lay it down in there, and push it up against the corner. Alright, and then just work it down in there, force all that spring down in there, and then you'll have to use a little pick or something, because your spring will be curved down into the corner. You got to lift it up a little bit while you're keeping pressure on it, and eventually that guide rod will just pop right in there, and you can push it all the way back. And then while you're holding it back with your finger, drop your bolt in, and then you can let the pressure off the spring and let it pop into the notch that it sets in on the bolt. It's kind of a pain in the butt. It's probably, you know, the hardest thing in the whole disassembly and reassembly. But what we'll do now, since we went ahead and touched everything, but getting it down in there, I'm going to take a little bit more grease and just put it right on this spring here. It's again just to keep everything from carbon building up on it. And then I'm going to put a little bit right on the bottom of the bolt. Now I've already polished the bottom of the bolt. We want to put just a little bit of grease on there and just make it run a lot smoother. Alright. Once you get that done, then we can go ahead and reinstall the trigger assembly. Oh, no, before we do that, we got to put our bolt handle, our charging handle in. Should have done that before, but you just got to pull back on it a little bit and lift it out of the groove till you get it seated, and then drop it back down. Slide it back in. It's real easy. The frame actually holds the bolt, the charging handle in. Then we'll go ahead and put our trigger assembly back in. Got to drop the front end first. It's got a little hole there, a little tit that it lines up on. We'll go ahead and level this thing back out here so I can put that pin in. Alright, and there's our pin at. And we'll just go ahead and pop our pin back in there. Shouldn't need a hammer or anything, I'll just push right in. for the magazine tube and stuff. So we'll take our tube and our 4-end grip here. We got our little plastic piece that's going to go back on here. And then our 4-end grip. And then our mag tube. And it'll just slide right back down just how we pulled it out. We'll just put the pin back in there. Now you might have to play with your mag tube just a little bit to make sure your notch is lined up. And then you should just be able to take a little hammer and tap it in. And you don't want to tap your rifle with it, so what we'll do is just use a little punch. Now the last thing I'll do is I'll take a little bit of steel wool and some crewel and just kind of polish the inner rod here, the inner tube, and wipe it off. And what that does is it gets they tend to get a little bit of surface rust on them if they set for a while. That'll get any of that off there and make it nice and smooth, nice and slick, so it feeds in there really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall that. Pop it, slide it around here. And the last thing we got to do is reinstall our little heat shield and sight. Might have to put it on the right way, huh? And that is how you disassemble and reassemble your Winchester Model 190 for cleaning or whatever. And the last thing I've got to do with this one is I'm going to put a coat of Renaissance wax on it, give it a good polish. I'll do the metal and everything, and it'll go back in the cabinet. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you got any questions or comments, concerns, problems, issues, anything like that with it, just leave me a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But it's a fairly simple process, and that's pretty much it. So until next time, guys, get out there, shoot some guns, be safe, and most importantly, have fun. See you guys later.